Hey traders, John Howell here. We're going to have a quick look at what Apple did after the announcement and what happened and what's happening now after the announcement happened with Apple. So let's get straight into it. All right, so let's have a quick look at what actually happened with Apple. As you can see, Apple announcement came out, and obviously investors didn't like it, and it went from here all the way down to here, and the low point was 6.7%, so almost down 7%. But then we actually had an open to a rally to a high of, the market actually rallied up 2.6% on the market open there. So as you can see, right? So looking at this news announcement here, what's actually happening with Apple overall? Because remember, everything is based on the charts itself. So if you go to the weekly chart here, you can actually see there's a few things happening here with Apple. And let me bring up some trend lines here. And you can actually see there's a few things happening with Apple here. Now, Apple looks like it may be making a head and shoulder formation. Okay, so what I mean by that is, if I just let me bring up my drawing trend lines, my drawing tools here. As you can see here, right, we had maybe a bit of a left head, and then maybe a bit of right shoulder as well too. This may be a bit. This actually looks like a bit of a topping pattern. As you can see, right, market runs up, market runs down. So it looks like it's a bit of a topping pattern, and it's looking very, very weak overall on the weekly chart. You can see we actually add a lot of support levels through here. It's actually struggling to break higher. It's actually broken down. So I actually think with Apple right now, Apple's looking very, very weak, especially on this weekly chart thus far, and it's struggling to stay up higher because it did break up high. That was only because of buying on the announcement. Buy the rumor, sell the news. That's exactly what happened with Apple, and then suddenly gap down. Now I do see this gap down, but then what I do see is this market running up, closing this gap, or closing most of the gap, or basically closing the gap or closing most of it, and then I do see a rollover, maybe to come here. So if we do, this is where the resistance level is. If it does hover around here, then we're likely to see a reversal back down to the downside. If it doesn't, then we're likely to see a reversal back to the upside. But I see, likely to close this gap here. There's a big gap there, based on the earnings announcements, and most gaps get filled. But that being said, the overall weekly chart is looking very weak, and sometimes you do have gaps like this over here that when the market does gap, it doesn't get filled, and suddenly the market just keeps going in that direction. So anyway, guys, this is John Howell here from officialjohnhowell.com. Remember, success can be yours if you go claim it. So step up, take massive action, and face your fears today.